This is called the morada. Morada means a place of dwelling, a house in Spanish. When this whole area was being settled, there weren't enough priests. The hermanos penitentes were the first sort of lay ministers that came out here. They established little oratorios or prayer spaces, and then eventually they set up larger meeting places. So this is our house, or house of God. We happen to share a common boundary with Cielo Vista Ranch. And it's not the issue that they can't build a fence, because a fence is a use by right. The reason we launched our complaint is because their activity impacts our property directly. You can see how they traversed the landscape, cutting across the arroyos, leaving a lot of potential channels for erosion and sedimentation. And the other concern is that they encroached upon our historic easement that we have for the Calvario, the Via Crucis, the Way of the Cross. During Holy Week, we have a series of religious activities taking place that are open to the public. We pray, we do an encuentro, which is called an encounter of the Virgin Mary and Jesus. And then we do a procession to the cross, to the top of the hill, and we place the cross there, and we leave it there for the duration of Holy Week. This is a part of our procession trail here, the trail to the Calvario, which, without the fence being here, it was just a very open process. Now it's kind of a psychological impact. It's so important for us to highlight the importance of the morada. This is the last one that survives in Colorado that has active membership, and it's sad to see it now being pressured in addition to all the other things that we face in our society. Our charge primarily is a religious one, so we don't want to get involved politically in the issue, but we also can't stand here helpless and having to live here. We have to live with the consequences. It's been over a year since this happened, and since then have been documenting the damage and the destruction that was done. So you could see the erosion in the water that's coming down. This one is one of the major drainages that runs through the property of the morada. It's been raining. It actually overflowed through here. You can kind of see it, and there it goes down to the corner of the morada. Same thing here, all these slopes here where the fence goes through. Eventually those are all going to be erosion gullies. It's just adding to the problem of the maintenance. You can see the grader here, the grader out there grading and fixing the roads. A lot of it is from the fence-making activity. It's a question of accountability in my mind. Cielo Vista Ranch has to be accountable. The county has to be accountable. We have a legitimate ordinance on the books that needs to be looked at and enforced. They seem to be reluctant maybe to get involved in anything that's going to be controversial. I think they're also afraid probably of what the legal implications of them would be versus a multimillionaire, billionaire guy. We just don't have the resources. Just like the county told me, we don't have the resources to deal with this. It will, cripple us if we have to launch a legal action. Where it goes from here, I don't know. It's kind of at a stalemate. So that's a predicament here. We're just very frustrated. I guess you learned probably already that the commissioners approved that agreement. Just recently, this agreement had been drawn up, dated August the 28th. Nobody saw it until a few days before it was approved. It was never released to the public. They published it in the Free Press last week, but that's only a couple of days before they had the meeting. And I wanted to comment on it because I think there were several things wrong with that agreement. There was just a brief mention of the morada. They basically said that the development of the fence had not impacted the morada. It's like completely blew it off. I spent the whole year back and forth, as you know, deliberating with them, trying to get them to understand and to execute the violation notices in a timely way, and yet not even to have the due process to at least respond on the agreement. They wanted to do it quickly because they knew it was a controversial issue in the community and they didn't want to face up to it. The commissioner said kind of like, oh, you better bring your bulletproof vest to the next meeting, something to that nature. In other words, this is going to be controversial. So they didn't want to have a room full of people screaming at them. And then their thing is just pay us the fee. It sets a really bad precedence because now any developer can go out there and do what they want, and then if they get caught, oh, well, we'll just pay the fee. No evaluation of the impacts. And then they have to stipulate that, that they're never going to litigate this issue again. So very disappointing, I stepped down officially. I couldn't be there anymore in good conscience. Now that I'm looking at the agreement and analyzing it carefully and stuff, they really messed up. They could have done things a lot better. That's the worst thing, is that they weren't challenged. They can say, oh, well, we can go out and do whatever we want, and if we get caught, well, they'll just slap us in the hand or we can pay the fee and we'll be okay, especially for the big developers. It's a little bit uncertain as to what the future is going to be of the Mora. So to me, that's a challenge, is how do we keep these traditions alive along and merge them with the dynamic cultural interfaces of time and change. Try to maintain some description of what the cultural landscape was and is and what it's evolving to, because it's changing, it's dynamic. We're not going to always have it, the way we romanticize it to be. It's our last stand, it's literally the last stand in Costilla County. As far as religious, spiritual practice, it's, been there solid through the generations.